like if you do the work, people will, it'll work out kind of. And I started by leaving a bunch of messages. Nobody ever called me back. So then I stopped leaving messages. And then I was calling one night, and like 5 o'clock in the evening, this lady called me and she says, "Hey, I really apologize. It's taking me so long to get back to you. I got your message from last week." I'm sitting there looking up, I'm like, "You're the only one who's calling back. Right. You don't even This is unbelievable." So anyway, I sold them a house like 60 days later for about $500,000. And anyway, there's probably a lot of other cool stories. But.
Yeah.
My name is Keith Hinton. I'm in the Virginia Beach market. So we call it Hampton Roads in coastal Virginia, but Virginia Beach is like the largest city that people around the country would know. So I've been in real estate for a long time now. I guess I'd say it's long, so 19 years. So I got into the very end of 05. And I'm with Keller Williams Realty. Been there the bulk of the 19 years, 17 of the 19 years. And, I guess kind of unique. I sold real estate very actively for 6 years. Then I made my way to the brokerage side of things, and with partners ran some brokerages and stuff. And then I just got back into like the production side of things full time, coming up on about a year ago now. Right now it's myself, COO, then 3 other agent team members, and we have an ISA based out of Mexico. And then we're growing pretty aggressively. Like I think the hope would be that we'd be at probably 12 agent team members by the end of the year, and a couple more admin by that time. So my experience is probably unique to most. So I hadn't sold any real estate for 12 years. Back then, totally different market. It was right after the crash of 2008. So you could, if you wanted to, you probably didn't need to spend any money on marketing or lead generation at all, just because sellers that were for sale by owners, expired listings and stuff. It was an exactly opposite market what it is today. So there were people you could call on, and doesn't mean it was easy to convince them to use you, but like you could get in front of enough people just by prospecting.
Sure.
So then this time around, I kind of knew I wanted to build, a fairly large team. I don't know how large it will be, but like somewhat large. And so I knew that for scalability and other reasons, I needed to start investing into internet lead generation being one of the things. And those lead sources, what I said before, for sale by owners, expired. There's a few out there, but not many because it's such a low inventory market. So finding something like CINC was really relevant to me. Of course, over that 12-year span, that whole game had evolved a lot. I didn't even use it back then, but even if it had, it would have changed a ton, over 12 years. So I found CINC. The team that I was an investor in prior was using them and had a good experience. So I dove into learning about them, and it's been great. I'm still like learning how to maximize the system. We're probably coming up on about our 20th closing, and that would be our first closing wasn't until probably October of last year. So between then and now, and I say that to say we're probably only using it to 20% of capability. Really, we still have a lot to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So it's coming along. It's I really enjoy learning it. So like I kind of enjoy like just nerding out about business models and structures, team structures and splits and lead generation models and things like that. So I'm enjoying the process. So I plan on it being a really big part of what we're building. I want to make my way to like 24-ish team members within the next year and a half, and them closing on average of 20 to 30 transactions. So to do that, we need a lot of leads to call on. So we're going to have to increase our ad spend along the way, and I think there's a lot of value. I mean, even if I had enough warm leads from whatever, like some following of like everybody knows me in Virginia Beach, which they don't, like even if I did that, I see so much value in us doing the activity together, the camaraderie it creates, every time that somebody, talks to somebody on the phone, it potentially just extends that conversation. They're learning a skill set that helps them a ton with an open house lead, with a referral lead, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So, obviously I want us to convert business out of it, but part of the value is just the activity that it creates and structure that it's like, we know our agents every day can win if they want it. Like you can't guarantee that you're going to have a closing that day for sure. You can't guarantee that you're even going to have a really productive conversation, but you can say, I am calling 20 people today, and check it off on checklist and win that day. So it's like, it really sets something to where that can positively impact mindset. I mean, your company has like such a nice group of people. So I think I had a very positive interaction like from moment one. Yeah, I think I made the decision rather easily after that. I don't have a lot to compare it to, but I find it user friendly. So I find it easy to navigate and stuff, in which I'm not very tech oriented. So that's probably a good thing. If somebody like me can say that. The biggest correlation is just us making the calls and stuff. And that's something that even CINC can't force somebody to do. Right? So like just the discipline for me and the team members to get in and make those calls. And I've really enjoyed just learning about internet lead generation and the numbers and the close rates. And there's such a mindset around it. You've just got to go into every time you dial a phone, you just have to anticipate that it could be something very viable. And you have to not be deflated by the fact that there's a high percentage of those aren't going to answer.
Yeah.
And so it's really, I find it fun to learn. Like it's playing a long game. It's, so a lot of it's like mindset and attitude related. Quite frankly, I have like a name for this. I probably stole it from somebody, but it's I call it cynical optimism. So you have to, which of course is oxymoron, you have to be, cynical enough to know that when you dial 20 numbers in a row and not one answers and says not interested, if you're overly optimistic and you think you're going to make 3 calls and sell 3 houses from it, you're going to be devastated by that, right? So you have to have realistic expectations. But on the flip side, you have to be optimistic to know that every single time that you hit send on that phone, that could be the needle in the haystack. So you better be ready. You better be ready to engage, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I'm like very into the psychology of it. We do it together as a team. So we have a lot of fun doing it. When people are first starting, they're nervous. So they'll say some really silly things, that don't make any sense to the person, because when you're nervous, you can't hear what they're saying. You're like worried about stuff. So yeah, we'll get off the phone and kind of all laugh about it. So we've actually enjoyed it. I mean, we've closed multiple deals that started out with bad phone numbers. I've got one right now that I started communicating with them by way of email after they gave me a bad phone number, and they're probably gonna buy and sell at some point in the near future. So, but it's fun. It's like, even that's fun. It's just kind of fun to get creative, like think of creative ways to, like pay attention to what they're looking for, grab one thing from the MLS to provide value to them and say, hey, I noticed you've seen this, like this just jumped out and you popped into my head related to it and stuff. So it's kind of fun to see how you can, gain traction and like gain some conversation. What we do with our team is we actually don't assign leads. We all get in the same pond every day, and we basically sort them by most recently logged in. And just like start calling right down the list. We focus a little bit more on if it's a new lead that registered since the last time we were calling. We'll make a point to call those just a little bit. Other than that, we'll go right down, and then sometimes we'll just jump back in, just like sort it to like 1 through 100, then click it 5 times, and now we're into 500, 600, 700 deep of most recently registered. So that way, because they haven't heard from anybody for a while, probably, so we can maybe rejuvenate some stuff. And so yeah, and we track dials. Like we talk about number of dials all the time, every single week. Everybody has a scorecard that they fill out throughout the week, and they have to turn it in at the end of the week. And if they've made 100 plus dials, it goes up on this big whiteboard in green with the number. If it's 50 to 99, it's like goes up like with a black check mark and the number. And if it's below 50, it's like a big red X with the number. And so we can visually see, it's like you don't even need to look at the numbers. You can just see a lot of green or see a lot of red, that type of thing. And so it's like, like soft accountability. And we just, somebody hit 100 the other day last week, and so we chime in. And yeah, so it's a lot about the activity is there's no way to get around the activity. It doesn't matter how good you are on the phone if you don't make enough calls. I mean, I've got multiple stories of like, if you do the work, people will, it'll work out kind of. And I started by leaving a bunch of messages. Nobody ever called me back. So then I stopped leaving messages. And then I was calling one night, and like 5 o'clock in the evening, this lady called me, and she says, hey, I really apologize. It's taking me so long to get back to you. I got your message from last week. I'm sitting there looking up. I'm like, you're the only one who's calling back.
Right.
You don't even, this is unbelievable. So anyway, I sold them a house like 60 days later for about $500,000. And anyway, yeah, there's probably a lot of other cool stories.
Yeah.
We're set up right now to attract mostly buyer leads through CINC. Most of them are coming from out of town, some from local, but a lot of them from out of town. We're a very transient market, so we're a really huge military population. I think we're the largest in the country. So it's not a big second home market. There's some, but it's more of a primary housing market altogether, largely military. So we're lucky, we're blessed. It's transient enough to where, we feel it when the market goes down, but not as bad as some places probably, because we always have people coming and going to the military. Whenever anything shifts, it's not to sound mean, but the people that are more serious about doing this full time, being like a student of their craft and their industry, they're going to do disproportionately well compared to people that are just really doing it on a whim and selling a few houses based on people they bump into, and stuff. And so it's not like I have a desire to filter out people or whatever, but the reality is the people that get that much more committed to their activities and stuff will do really well. A lot of things have come up in my 19 years that kind of seem like they'd be a threat to replacing real estate agents or significantly declining their impact, and nothing has so far. It's pretty neat. If I were to buy something in Atlanta right now, I've been in real estate for 19 years, I would hire an agent because I don't know this market well enough. I don't know if I'm putting in a full price offer, if that's no chance because everybody's $40,000 over, or if I've paid $30,000 too much by doing that. So I need local knowledge for that, even though I've been doing this for a really long time.